Hey everyone, we continue building this app. In the past two videos, we have creating the onboarding and the UI. In this video, we'll learn about gesture. If we swipe to the right, you can see this side menu. Swipe again to close. Also, you can press on this button to open and close. And we will learn about passing data between the views. If we go to this view, for now is empty, but let's add two items. Click on the plus button. Let's add two more. Here we have all the items. In this video, we'll start by passing the data between the views with very simple example, and after that we will learn how to create the gesture step by step. And if you want to see the other videos, you can watch this video for the onboarding and the UI. But if you want to learn about passing data and the gesture, you can continue on this video. And this video is for everyone who want starting learning SwiftUI or getting better. For the passing data between the views, I have create a new project, name it testing app, just to create very simple example how to pass in data between the views, and after that we'll add this functionality to our app. The first thing is we need a data model. Like this one on our app, we have the data model have an image and name, pricing, rating, and so on. I will create a data model. We will have here just the name. The next step is we need a class. When you give it a name, we'll name it data class. Okay, in this class, I will have an array of type data model. I'll name it class array. Will be of type data model. Equal empty array. So now we can use this array on the display data view to display all the items inside the array. But we need one more thing. We need an observable. We need to import observable. I'll tell you in a second what that means. And before the class, simply by adding this keyword, that means when we add a new item to the class will update the view. Let's say I press this button and I add a new item to the array. This class will say, hey, I have a new item, and he will display the item over here. Maybe a little bit confused, but will be easy to understand in a second. I need to add a new item inside the class, so I need to get access to this array. At state, I'll name it view model. Will be of type data class. We need to add the data class over here. To this view also. With the view model, we can access to this array. We can say view model dot class array dot append a new item will be data model item, and you pass in the name, a new item. So every time you press this button, we'll add a new item So now if we go to the display data, in here we need also to get access to the class. We will just copy this one and we add it over here also. I need an for each to display all the items inside class array. We say view model dot class array, and in here we can say item dot name. I want to add in vstack to display the content view, and we need to pass in the view model. This one is very important. So now when I click the button, at the same time we'll add the item to the array, and this keyword will republish the view. Let's click on the button, we have the new item, add the new one, and so on. Now we are back to our app on the grid view. So let's create the class. First thing is import observable. We'll name it added item. And here the same, we add an array of type data model, starting with empty array. We need to add observable keyword before the class. So we need to get access to the class. We go to the button. We change the name, items. And append the new item. The new item will be the view model, the image, the name, the pricing, everything. Let's go to the horizontal view. We do the same. We just copy this. Let's go to the content view. On the content view, we need to pass in the added class. In here too. Say var added equal added items. Comment B to make sure there's no errors. Let's go to the home view and test this. On the home view, I will create a Z stack on the state, name it show. Let's create a new view to display all the data inside the array. So I need to pass in an add item. So I have added this button to switch from the content view to the add view. So now, as you see, it's a very small button. Let's make it large item. So now I will add the item. As you see, I'm pressing on the plus button. I will click on the show. We need to pass in also here the add button. So now let's click on the plus. You see there's two items. Let's make it inside the VStack. Click this one, this one, this one, 3. I have 3 items. Let's add more. We are already adding the items to the array. Right now we display only the names, but on the finishing up, as you see, we display the data like this. The same layout for the horizontal view, but without a button. So what I will do is copy this view, because the same but without this button. Just copy all this view. On the add item, I will create a new view. I'll name it list of items. We delete this, we don't need it. On this one too. On the button. And we will use this view over here. It will be inside the scroll view. Let's go back to the home view. Add an item. As you see. But on the finishing up, let's close this one. when we go to this view, first will be empty, and when we add the items will appear this view. Let's create this one too, and I will add a spacer to the bottom to push it all to the top. So is added item. This means if the array inside the class is empty, we will display the empty view. We'll just copy paste this view. Else we show us this view. And what we have here, this one, food order, we add in text. Let's go back to the home view. Okay, this one should be to the top. I have already added the spacer. Let's see what is the problem. Okay, vstack. Oh yeah, because the offset. One more thing, let's add the padding from the horizontal. So right now we see this view because it's empty. Add an items. Have this view. Also, let's delete the padding for the rating. We need to add this one to the vstack and alignment. Leading. In this part, we'll start by learning about drag gesture. We will create the drag gesture, and after that we will create the UI and the functionality for the side menu and for the dark light mode. Let's start with adding the drag gesture to the home view. In here we can just delete all this, we don't need it. The first step is to add gesture to the content view. And we need the drag gesture. On the drag gesture, we have on change and on end. On change when you start dragging, and on end when you lift your finger. Let's start by using on change. And then here we have the value, how much we dragging. But to use this value, we need a state. I will name it dragging. and of type CG size because the dragging gesture is using CG size value, and we'll start by 0. In here we can say the dragging equal the value transition. This means how much we dragging on the screen equal the value dot transition. So now we know like nothing happened, but we have already the numbers. So let's use these numbers and add it to the content view by using an offset. I want on the X, we say dragging dot width. So now I can drag from the left and right. Also we can drag to the vertical if you want by using height and use this one to the Y. But let's go back to the X by horizontal. But we have one problem is when we're dragging to the right, for example, let's say we're dragging 200. But when I lift my finger and I start dragging again, we'll jump from 200 to the 0. See? If I drag to left, we'll jump to the 0 because we said the dragging is 0. So what we need is updating the position for the view. So I need another state. I will name it position. And on end, this means when I lift my finger, so when I lift my finger, I want to update the position. Position dot width plus equal value transition. So what's that mean? Now we're dragging to the right by 200. The value transition is 200. For example, let's say 200. We will add this 200 to the position. This means is the position now is 200. And I will add this 200 to the offset. Position dot width. Let's see what will happen. So I drag 200. Okay, it's push it another 200 because this 200 plus 200 is 400. So I want when I stop dragging to make the dragging 0. So now I drag to the right 200 is it stop over there, but and I lift my finger, I will drag again. Now it's moving right. Now we can drag all the way to the right or to the left, but I want to be able to drag from 0 to the 200 only. And then we'll stop dragging over here or we'll stop on the 0. On the offset, we can say the max value to drag is 220 and the minimal value will be 0. So now we can drag from the 0 to the 200 only. So if I drag to the 200, we'll stop over there, you see? I can't move anymore. And on 0 also will stop. Still I didn't lift my finger. On the finishing up, if we dragging like 20 will return to the 0 with animations, but if we dragging more than 50 we'll push it to the 220. So on end, let's say if the value transition is greater than or equal 50, we need to know where we are first. I want to know if the value transition is greater than 0. If is that true, we will push the view by 220. Else, we will push it back to 220. This means we return to the 0. Else, if is the value transition less than 50, we will return the position to the 0. If I drag by 20 is return, and we need to add an animation. Now if I drag 30, we'll return to the 0. But if I drag more than 50, we'll push it all to the 220. And if I drag again, we'll push it by negative 220. That means we'll return to the 0. And here, when we moving to the right, the view gets smaller and smaller by using the scale effect. So we need this new state. I will name it scale. Inside the onChange, this one will be equal the position. I need to know where we are and how much we're moving on the screen. It is equal 220. If is that true, will be 0, the position. Else, we will use the value transition dot width. And let's use these numbers to the scale. I want to add the scale effect. The scale will be equal the position plus the value transition greater or equal 220. The scale effect will be 0.9. S will be 1 for now. Let's add this all inside the animation. One point zero. And we need to add dot width. Let's test this and see what will happen. If I moving to the right, 0.9 now because we are on 220. That is true. Also the scale effect is equal 0.9. If we move again, return to the 1. But I want when I'm scrolling to the right, the view gets small and smaller. Not only when we reach 220. To do that, we will say max 1 negative the value, and it will be between 1 and 2.9. but the second I drag to the right will jump to 0.9 because the value transition is very high. What I will do is divide this value by 625. So now when I scroll to the right, it gets smaller and smaller, and if we're moving to the left, will get bigger. But we have a problem. When I drag to the left, the scale effect will zoom, and what I want is the scale effect will be 0.1 when we're moving to the right only. I will add a condition here. If the position is equal 0, that means we are not moving. And the value transition the dragging equals 0. Else we can drag. Here we have and. This means if it's both is true, we will do this. Else we will do that. And here we have the position is 0. This means the view is not moving. Will return as true. The first one is true. And here the value transition is less than 0. This means -1, -2, -3. If we're moving to the left, this one will be true. This means the dragging should be 0. The view will not move because it is moving to the negative. But if we're moving to the right, this means these numbers will be +1, +2. Okay, we have this one is false, this one also false. We will do this. If I swap to the right, to the left, if I swap again to the left, it's nothing happen. We'll add nothing to the scale effect. If we're moving to the right, we need to make the scale effect to turn to the 1 also. And on the finishing up, we have this corner ratio, as you see. Let's add this one too. But first I want to add the background to the view, content view. Let's make this inside the Z stack. Let's go back to the home view. If I swap again, we have this view different color. We'll just close all this. Before the scale effect, I want to add a mask. And I will mask this view inside rectangle. And here I say minimal dragging plus the position I will divide it by 5, and the corner ratio, the minimal value will be 50. We need to ignoring save area because the save area is pushing the view to the top, so I will add a padding to move it a little bit to the bottom. On the Z stack, I will add the save area padding. So now if I'm moving to the right, so now let's just start creating the side menu. I'll create a new view. Side view. So what I need is 4 buttons. Each button have an icon and a title with this rectangle shape and the dark light mode switch. I will create one view, have an icon and a title, and we will reuse this view 4 times, and we pass in each one different icon and different title. So in here I will type a view, just name it side button. We need an icon of type string and the title. We should move this one over here, and each button should have an action. We pass in the action here. Need an icon, will be the icon, and for the color I want to know we are on the dark or light mode, because based on that we will change the icon color. With this one we can know if the device have dark or light mode. If it's the dark mode, we will have in white with an opacity 0.7, else will be dark, just black with an opacity. And we need the title. We make this all inside an heat stack. So we have 4 buttons inside the VStack. And we need the switch. I will use app storage. This means if you switch to the dark and you close the app and open the app again, we will always dark because we have already saved the data. We'll add one more spacer to the top to alignment to the center. And we change the color, now is green. And we will use this value to switch between dark and light mode. If is dark is true, will be dark, else will be light. If we test it, you see? Let's give to this VStack a frame by 200. And I will align this view to the left. Let's add one more spacer from the bottom. So on a finishing app, when we click on this one, we'll navigate to other view. So I need an enum. So in here we can say enum, I'll name it content view selection, and this enum will have 4 cases. So when we click home, we'll navigate to the home, favors, and so on. We will use this enum to navigate between these views. And let's go to the home view. I want to call the enum name it selection, will be of type content view selection, the enum, and by default will start by the home, and I will use a switch. Also you can use if else, but a switch is better. And on the selection, and we have here home, favored, and so on. If we are on home and if we are on the favors, we'll display the add view. And in here will be just a text. We can pass in any view you want. So now for the mask and the scale and offset should be for each view. Should I add it for this one and add it for this one? But is like this is too much code and I don't like that. What I will do is make this one reusable. and we need to make this gesture to the Z stack. We'll close this. I will just copy paste the view to save time. This one will have the dragging position and the scale effect, and here the content. This is our view, and we add the mask, the scale and offset. And here we can just call content wrapper. We pass in the dragging and the position. And the view you want will be this view. I'll just copy this one more time because we need it for this view. Add this one here and this one here. And after the switch, I will add the side view. Will be on top this view, but I will push it to the left by 220. And we will add the same offset. So now if I drag to the right, we have this view. Try again. So now if we click on this view, nothing happened because we need to pass in which one we have selected to the side view. We go back to the side view and we will pass in the content selection view. We go to the home view. Now we need to pass in the selection. If I swoop again, go to this view. We need to add the action. Equal dot home. No, on the favorite we need this one. If we swoop again, we go to this view. Now it's empty. Let's add one. We need just push it a little bit to the bottom. All this is because the ignoring save area. Here we go. Let's change the background color. Also, when we add the new item, you should have for this view also background color. I will go first to content view. I'll just delete this. After the scroll view, add in background. and go to the add view. Add items. This work fine. So what we have left on the content view, when we press on this button, the side view open, click again, closed. Also, when we click one of the items, we'll navigate to this view and close the side view. Let's go to the content view. Of type podium. And here for the action will be inside with animation. Go back to the home view. Now we need to pass in the show side. I will use this one, show. Let's close all this, and I will use on change, show, if show, that means if show is true, the dragging dot width will be 220 and the position and the scale also will be 0.9, else zero, zero, this one will be 1. Here let's just display home view. If we click on this button, the side view is open, close, go to this view. We need to add this functionality too. When we switch to other view, should this one be closed, I will use another on change, but for the selection. On change, selection with animation, dragging, or just copy paste this stuff. If the value of selection is change, we will do that. Now if we click on this view, the selection is changed from home to the favored or to the card. Let's add an item. On the finishing app, we have first this view loading, the onboarding, and I will change this one to the start view. And we have one problem, is this text, we can't see all the text. So let's go to the onboarding view, and for the details we add the fixed size from the horizontal false and the vertical true. We need the fixed size for the vertical only. Now if I run the app, now we can see all the text, but when we reach this view, we need just to add transition, and we will use the same transition for this one. Let's run it again.